Battle for Zendikar. I don't think I liked Battle for Zendikar as a set very much. I can't remember what I thought about Khan's BFC standard. I remember BFC Kaladesh standard was after that, and I lost to Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, more than any card I've ever lost to. I lost to Gideon, Ally of Zendikar constantly, and it was awesome. Arid Mesa Hallowed Fountain, opponent definitely a fan of the stream. Serum Visions, were you playing the mirror? Might be playing the mirror. I might play Valakut Awakening on turn 1. If we sack Valakut Awakening to Lotus Field, then we get to maybe snap it back later, which is kind of nice. And we can sack Flagstones and Valakut to Lotus Field and get a little bit of mana advantage and card advantage that way. Mardu Green was a cool deck. Thumbs up for Mardu Green. I didn't play a ton. I don't think I played a ton of standard. I actually think I was playing a lot of EDH then. Jeskai, Stoneblade. Yeah, I think I was playing a lot of EDH then. But I remember playing a couple of tournaments. And I remember not hating it. I think I played either Mardu Red or... I think I played Mardu Red most of the time. Maybe some Jeskai Black. So I probably need to snap Bolt this turn. Do they have a third land? They do, it's a Triome. The deck names back then were out of control. Out of control. Snapcaster Bolt on a Stoneforge Mystic, that's just good, clean magic right there. Honest magic. Edgy Jeskai, now there you go. That's being honest. Okay, so we're probably casting Valakut's Awakening and playing Lotus Field this turn. I'm a bit worried about Shark Typhoon. It's probably okay though. I think I will keep this Force of Negation. I'll just put back the spells. I'm also okay if they counter Awakening here. Yeah, Soulfire Grandmaster is such a cool card. I really liked Kaladesh BFC standard, and then Kaladesh what was the Kaladesh Innistrad standard was also, I think, really fun. I just love the Torrential Gearhulk control decks so much. I played those decks constantly. They have Snapcaster Mage, nothing to flash back, because they're playing Serum Visions over Opt potentially. But if they have a land, they can play an equipped sword if we choose not to use Force of Negation on sword. Yeah, I saw Shane. They mentioned in the chat. Wasn't Jeskai Black like $1,000? Was it? I don't think I owned it. I think I probably just borrowed it. I'm not gonna force Maul of the Skyclaves. I think them playing Maul of the Skyclaves means they just don't have a 5th land. So again, it's Batterskull, Sophie, Mystery card. We take 4 down to 16. That is one nice thing about this deck. Ooh, do I play around Mana Leak? Or sorry, Mana Tithe? It's pretty free too, since I want to be able to path this anyways. I've missed this. I've missed untapping Lotus Field with Teferi. Just my favorite thing to do ever. You might have enough mana in this deck for Gearhulk. Yes, but the problem is, the problem with Gearhulk, Sphinx's Revelation, Expansion, Explosion is they just don't seem better to me than Shark Typhoon. But it's also always hard to sell me on any card over Shark Typhoon, of course. They bolt Tef. It's fine. We have a backup. Commit to Memory. Again, it's just these cards are just lower power level, I think. I did play Commit to Memory in a Pioneer version of this deck, though. I bought a foil playset of Shark Typhoons. I'm super excited to use in paper one day. All right, thanks, Abe. I'll take a look when I get a chance. I miss Electrolyze. Me too, dude. Pour one out for Electrolyze. Electrolyze is your favorite Magic card. You got good taste. Electrolyze is a good Magic card. Not really good at Modern anymore, but that's also partially because like the decks that it preyed on, Infect and Affinity, and like the you know, Birthing Pod, Devoted Druid Shells are just not really played anymore. It's the most of the reason. So let's bring in the Abrade, the Disputes, maybe Narset, maybe not Narset. I usually like Nexus of Fate and Blue Mirrors. You can cut the Wildfires, trim on Tail's End. So 2 Tail's End is probably a good number. Path is also probably not a card I really want. Maybe we'll do something like this. This looks pretty good to me. I'm not really interested in pathing Stoneforge Mystic. We have 3 bolts and a Braid. And just like maybe overpowering Stoneforge Mystic. Maybe we could play 1 path. We went 3-2 with blue-white. Yeah, Electrolyze against Affinity was so good. I remember I played some Grixis decks that had both Electrolyze and Kolaghan's Command. And they had some good Affinity matchups. I'll keep this. I think I'm putting back Snap number 2. Infect Reborn in the new meta? I don't think so. Although I have been telling everybody that their favorite deck is playable. Prowess decks are at the top of the metagame, or at least they seem to be immediately the most obvious deck to be on. So playing a deck that loses really hard to Prowess, loses really hard to Lava Dart is probably not a excellent decision. What deck has done the best today? We went 0-2 with so we went 3-2 with Bant Squirrel Blade, but that was before we knew what the ban announcement was. And then we went 0-2 drop with Jeskai Giants, 3-2 with Grixis, 3-2 with Stoneblade, and then this is our first league with Lotus Field. Yeah, Corey Burkhart Grixis was such a cool deck. Big fan of that deck. I sat next to Corey during GP Dallas that he was playing Grixis at, and I was playing Jeskai Nahiri, and we were like next to each other for like 3 or 4 rounds. I started off 8-0 at that event, and then crashed and burned day 2. Had a really good start. Discard spells. Yeah, discard spells have gotten much better in Modern. We could jam Blood Sun. It doesn't get disputed here, which is kind of nice. I think I'm down for jamming Blood Sun. Fatal Push was already playable. Fatal Push was already a fine card, I think. This might make Prowess decks a bit worse. Yeah. Maybe, no, I don't know. Prowess decks were already like tier 1 and then didn't get anything banned, so actually I don't think so. Modern needs him. I don't know. There's like a lot of people who love Legacy, and I also really love Legacy. But there's a subset of players who just want Modern to be Legacies, and I don't really get it. Him is super cool. I don't know. I just don't think Modern would benefit from him. Yeah, Jund is definitely a deck we'll be playing some of. Left in Bolt. Interesting. So they had a Sword of Feast and Famine, 3 mystery cards. I think I'm gonna cast Blood Sun, see what happens, and then tails in the Stoneforge activation. I'm assuming this gets countered, but I think we just run it into a counter. You can tails in the living weapon activation, yes. We could also have maybe, like, if we think they're on Cryptic here, we could maybe have tails into this, but it just is so bad if they're just fetching and they're going to let this resolve. I'll tails in this ETB. The Blood Sun being in play is a big deal for the deck, and I think we can maybe outgrind Feast and Famine. And if they counter back with something here, if they like really don't want Blood Sun to resolve, they're not using their mana for Stoneforge this turn. Although I guess they just get to Stoneforge on their turn. Huh. So I think I'm discarding Steam Vents. Would sure like to draw a Lightning Bolt. Opponent only has 3 cards in their hand. Path is a fine draw. I think I'm still playing Blood Sun. Again, just getting Blood Sun down leads to so many nutty draws. And I also don't mind so much if they counter this. We could have maybe gone for Path with Cryptic up instead.
So I'm doing my nails. Should I leave them this long?
Yeah. Is that long for fingernails?
Is that long? I don't know. You tell me. Sorry if I accidentally actually scratched you.
A little bit. Oh, what am I doing? I need to do this in combat. It's not good to do this now. Doesn't really matter though, because they forced it. Force actually exiling there is a pretty big deal for us. They're bolting me right now? Am I just dead? Alright, on 5, do I have 2 more bolts? Geist of St. Traft. Alright, well, guess I'm bringing in Settle the Wreckage. If I draw Lotus Field, we can go Teferi into Cryptic Command. It's possible I'm just supposed to play Teferi and plus here. I think that's not true. I think because we have Snapcaster to flashback Cryptic, I'm gonna wait and just go tap draw on their upkeep. We have definitely won in positions like this in the past. I guess actually we can't snap back Cryptic even if we draw Lotus Field. We can if we just play this though. Yeah, we're gonna have to draw like Lotus Field plus Cryptic or something nuts like that. We're at 5. I guess Snapcaster can block here, and like technically a Shark Typhoon would keep us alive too. We could also like Teferi Master of Time and phase out the Angel token. Block here, go to 2. And there's the Typhoon. Just a tough spot overall. Sort of Feast and Famine. Probably just needs to get forced, right? There's Lotus Field. Oh, here he comes. So we're not dead if our opponent has nothing. All right, now we have to find Cryptic Command to win. So we're gonna untap 2. We're gonna have 8 mana. I think I'm just gonna cycle the Triome and find exactly a Cryptic. We have 3 Cryptics left in the deck. Yeah, 1 mana short, no 3 mana card we can draw. So let's go ahead and go to game 3. Tough stuff. It's a lot of bolts my opponent left in. Why Blood Sun over Blood Moon? Blood Sun allows your Lotus Field to come into play untapped and not make you sacrifice any lands, and Blood Sun or Blood Moon doesn't do that. So that's why. You could cycle Shark into Snapcaster. Oh, maybe, yeah. We looked at our top card, that wasn't it. But yeah, we could have Chumped. Chumped. Oh no, just cycling Shark actually put us... No, because they bolted. Didn't put us to 1. Sorry. Flip-flop. Jeskai Fires deck with this ramp package. I don't know. I'm not super into Fires of Invention in Modern. And this deck is already, like, has so much top end as is. It's not like you can just add more 4-mana spells. Well, they didn't counter my Tails End. I'll see if they have a counter spell for Narset. Good card against Serum Visions. I think I'm gonna not minus in case they have like Bolt plus Serum Visions. It's pretty bad to minus here. There's not really much they can do to just kill Narset either. But against Sword of Fire, nice. Yes, bans are in effect on Magic Online. We'd love to find Blood Sun here. We didn't find Blood Sun, but we did find a lot of choices. Tails End actually counters Geist of St. Traft, which is awesome. We already have one in our hand, so I don't really want to grab one and just show it off to my opponent. I'll just get Lightning Bolt. I will make a 1/1 Shark at the end of my opponent's turn if they don't play anything, so I'll shock. How do I like this deck in the new format? Well, this is the first match I'm playing of it. I love this deck in general. This is one of my favorite decks to play ever. I think my opponent has Bolt up. I think I'm just going to untap. Upkeep Bolt. Upkeep Helix. I'll counter this. They didn't have a 1-mana counterspell earlier, although they've had a couple of draws since then. They could also have Force of Negation, and they did find a Force of Negation. Pitching Teferi, Time Raveler. I feel like those fine to fight there. They have Sword of Fire, nice, 2 unknown cards. Sorry, 4 unknown cards now. They did miss a land drop earlier. Okay, I have a Bolt for that. Thank goodness this isn't Geist of St. Traft. What's the synergy with Lotus? You can Tails End Lotus Field trigger. You also play 4 copies of Flagstones of Trokair to sack to Flagstones, and you also untap Lotus Field with Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and Blood Sun also makes Lotus Field come into play untapped and not make you sack any lands. I don't think I want to Tails End that. I'll just save this for a Planeswalker or a Geist. They hardcast Batterskull. It's actually kind of bad for us. I guess we maybe could have Tails Ended this. Oh, it's so bad if they have Jace. I'll just Tails End the Living Weapon trigger, I suppose. So it has Sophie, 2 unknowns. I'm gonna hold the Lotus Field, I think. Yeah, Tails End also just... I mean, Tails End did get worse with the Uro ban. Like, it was really good against the Uro piles. Alright, hopefully they don't have a counterspell as one of their 2 unknowns. But, you know, it's a sideboard game in a blue matchup. But they didn't have it. Lucky for us. Sophie, 1 unknown. Are they going to cast Sophie? They did not. I'll play Flagstone so I can sack it to Lotus Field next turn. 1 Tails End main deck. I think I'm playing 3 main deck Tails End. It's maybe not correct anymore, but it's what I've been on in the past. Replay Batterskull. Scary if we don't draw an answer, but mostly scary because of Sword of Fire and Ice that's coming down. Also bad if their 1 unknown card is a piece of 2-mana interaction. Awakening is interesting. They could just be fetching because they can't fetch when Blood Sun's in play. Seems to be the case. Untap Lotus Field. See, we find our 1 of Abrade. did not, so we're going to take a hit off of the Germ token, I suppose. But then we can minus Teferi on the Batterskull, but then the sword is still equipped to the Germ. We'll just see what we draw. Feast and Famine. So this means we can minus on the Germ token if they don't play an equipped Sword of Fire and Ice post-combat. I think Tail's End will be good enough after the bans. I don't know. I don't know yet. But I like Tail's End. It's all, you know, the floor in this deck is, you know, you counter your Lotus Field trigger or pitch it to force. Opponent having a hard time going to their second main phase. It does look like they're going to play and equip their sword, so that means we need to find Abrade, Cryptic Command, Settle the Wreckage, Nexus of Fate, a Snapcaster Mage. So I'm going to cycle this Typhoon. We got a lot of good cards here. A lot of good cards here. Notably, second Flagstone's kind of a nombo with Blood Sun. Not that big a deal usually. I think I'm going to plus the Teferi. I know that we can minus... Oh, we can just minus on Sword of Fire and Ice, actually. And then have two potential blockers here. That's got to be the line. I'll hold the Flagstones in my hand so that if I draw another copy of Valakut's Awakening, or if I draw Teferi Master of Time, I can loot it away. It's been a good game. Alright, scared of what will happen with our red-black. No, I'm thrilled. I'm very excited to just try a ton of stuff and see what happens. I have no fears in this new format, only hopes. I'm gonna hold this shark. We can make a 6/6 block shark to block next turn if we want. Please do not counter. Thank you, opponent, for not countering. Now I'll go ahead and awaken, looking for Cryptic or Settle the Wreckage, or maybe Abrade, maybe not Abrade. So we have 5 mana now. We can snap Cryptic next turn, or potentially this turn. But we'll probably just end up making a shark and blocking. Notably, we're not dead if this connects, because they don't have the Sword of Fire and Ice equipped, and they're drawing the Sword of Fire and Ice not this turn, but next turn, right? Yeah. It's going to make a 1/1 shark. You could bounce the Germ. We could, yes, but the Germ is still equipped to the Sword of Feast and Famine, which is like a bit awkward. And then if we minus, we don't get we don't get to get the extra mana with Teferi. Got a frog in my throat. So they snap Helix, my shark. I feel like maybe snap Bolting is better to play around Spell Snare because their life total doesn't matter so much, but obviously very narrow margins. I'm not going to run out Snapcaster to just chump. We can take 6. We're not dead to 1 more Lightning Bolt. We can discard this. I don't think they have much gas in their hand. And this, again, the Snapcaster to snap Cryptic is really valuable here. So we know they're drawing Sword of Fire and Ice next turn. This was a good draw. Can phase out the Germ if we want to. Discard extra Blood Sun, probably. Oh, sorry. I think someone said bounce the Germ. I thought they meant bounce the Batterskull. But yeah, we could have bounced the Germ too with the Teferi if we wanted to. Yeah, but bans are live, Chief. Bans are live. So yeah, I'm going to go counter bounce Germ token, I think. And they can equip Feast and Famine onto Snapcaster. It's fine. We could phase out the Snapcaster or Chump Block. They don't even equip. I do not anticipate very many people still cascading. It's very rare, I think, that people are trying to take advantage of something like that. Not that it's against the rules or anything, but most people just want to play the new format. We have not seen anybody still trying to cascade into Valky. And in my experience, that's usually how it goes. Todd, I saw that you were playing a lot of Standard. Standard looks really good right now. I might be playing some off stream and see how I like it. Probably not too much on stream though. But I've been watching you play some. The old draw Snapcaster, look at your graveyard. It's very pure. I'm not sure exactly how I'm handling this turn. I think I just might chump block with the Snapcaster Mage. I don't think I really need to do much more than that. How is it possible to cascade into Valky? Well, starting Wednesday will no longer be possible. But the rule was if you cascade into Valky, you could cast Tibalt. And it was a bit silly, and it was the best deck in Modern by a lot, and they're changing it. Probably don't need to be holding onto this Dispute, I guess. It's between Dispute and the second Taf. Yeah, I was about to say I wouldn't mind a second copy of Blood Sun here, or sorry, Lotus Field. So we can play Blood Sun and Narset. And I think I want to play Blood Sun before Narset because it's just a bit better to make the decision that play the card that requires no decision before you play the card that does require a decision. I think I'm just gonna get Shark Typhoon. And then we should be able to make a 9/9 Shark with Cryptic Command up, right? Or are we short? 6. Surgical Extraction targeting Shark Typhoon. The audacity. I've never felt this level of rage for an opponent before. Just kidding. So we'll probably just minus Teferi on their Snapcaster and win the game with a Teferi Hero of Dominaria Ultimate. How did I get BNR feels bad man lives already? I don't know what you're talking about. 1-0. That was a really fun match. GG's to Mickey. I'm gonna keep this. We have Awakening to put back too many lands. We're playing against a Yori on deck too, where Blood Sun's likely to be good. Can you Karl Zev's expertise into Tibalt? I don't believe so, no. Is this 80 card Soul Rider? It's probably just Copycat. Where Blood Sun will probably be very good. Yeah, you can still bring to light Tibalt. And it's pretty fair there. Alright, slamming Blood Sun could definitely get rebanded here. Let's see. If this gets countered, we could Wildfire this, play another Flagstones, get some advantage. Hopefully they just get a tap Triumph and let this resolve. We know they have another fetch land in their hand in the form of Windswept Heath, so if this sticks, it's going to be pretty good. It does stick. Yeah, Bring to Light into Tibalt in Pioneer does seem good, I agree. Teferi is also good. A lot of good cards flying around. I might just Valakut Awakening, looking for a Lotus Field. Putting away every card that's not Cryptic Command. We can also find Teferi to get rid of this Teferi next turn. I think this is fine. We could also obviously have just like bounce there to Teferi, but I don't know how much that really accomplishes. And then I feel like this does accomplish a decent bit. Yeah, we didn't find Lotus Field, but we did find Teferi to minus here, so maybe this will be good. Maybe they'll just minus on my Blood Sun and get to play their fetch land, and maybe that'll also be okay. Wildfire the Triome. That did not feel like the line to me. Oh, well, can't ever beat Kaya, I guess. Mostly kidding. I mean, Kaya's a good card. I want to play the Triome untapped before my opponent potentially deals with Blood Sun, and then I like don't have an untapped land. I like Kaya. Kaya's cool. I think that you play Kaya in like very specific metagames where the -1 is great. So I'm not sure if I would be playing Kaya in like a relatively unknown metagame, but whatever. Yeah, Kaya's designs are always very cool. Also, is Kaya a ghost? Is Kaya like a ghost, or does she have like ghost powers? What's the deal? Does anybody know? Because I've always liked to learn my MTG lore the old-fashioned way, which is just through other people telling me little tidbits. Ghost powers, human power. Oh, it's like Danny Phantom. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, she's Danny Phantom. Let me hit the tough here. She hates Ghost above all else and is trying to kill a Ghost, just like Danny Phantom, right? Isn't that what he does? She can turn into a Ghost partially and has Ghost weapons. Ghost weapons are cool. I like the ones from Dark Souls a lot. Who is this Danny character? It might honestly not be the right name, but wasn't there like a show on Cartoon Network called Danny Phantom? And he just turns into a ghost. It just sounds just like Kaya. He turns into a ghost. He's got ghost powers and he hunts ghosts. But he's not dead. He's not really a ghost. I think I'm gonna keep this on the draw. It's obviously like super land heavy, but we're already on 6. It was Nickelodeon. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember being a big Danny Phantom fan. So much ghost discussion and Ghost Region is not mentioned. Are you a real ghost, Ghost Region? I don't think we can afford to force Ren. I mean, Ren's probably not great in their deck. They seem like they're just like super friends. It kind of looks like the Prison Pals deck. Definitely a real ghost. Good to know. Might just be going to game 3 in a sec. I have Sissy resolves, I guess. So they're Niv to light, which is not something we realized until just now. I think we're gonna try to go over the top of them a bit. Well, we're pretty dead, I guess. I'll take a draw step. But I'm feeling very good about our chances to win game 3 on the play. There's not really anything we can Narset into. I know we're maybe not dead on board, but now we know that they're Niv. Now that we know that they're Niv, are we going to make changes? Yeah, so Cleansing Wildfire can deal with their sprawls. I think this is still a good sideboard plan against Niv. Bison, 1 year in a row. Uro banned on my 1-year sub anniversary. How is WotC gonna top this next year? You mean how am I gonna top this next year? I banned Uro for our anniversary. I take all the credit and none of the blame. It's always my catchphrase. Hard to mulligan Blood Sun on the play, I think. Was it worth to have Path decks at this point? I don't think so. Like we have Tails in and Aether Gust, which deal with all of their creatures besides the one of Sisay. And I don't know how we have Tails in. We can counter Sisay. We can go over the top of Sisay. I think. I don't think they actually play very many creatures. They don't play Uro anymore. I'll tell you that. Cleansing Wildfire off the top. Temple Garden, Utopia Sprawl. Oh yes, my powers are back. They've returned to me. Would I get hate if I say Twin was lame? I mean, no, Magic is a very subjective game. One of the cool things about this game is that everybody enjoys different things about it. And they, they enjoy playing the game differently. But I really like Twin. I love Twin. I got to play one FNM with Twin before I got banned. Alright, it's a good line. Don't think I'm going to force that, but turn their Misty Rain Forest into a land. Untapped Triome feels really good. Yeah, it's okay to be wrong. That's actually my motto. Alright. The age of the fetch land is ended. Now the age of the Blood Sun has begun. Things have gone so well for us this game. It's kind of unreal how just good our draw has been against our opponents. I think I like gusting this, so next turn we can go hard cast Typhoon and then dispute the Niv if they keep it on top. Which they probably will. I probably could have said that a bit shorter and said I like this line because we hard cast Shark Typhoon. I probably could have ended my sentence there. But turn 2 Wildfire, turn 3 Blood Sun, turn 4 Cryptic, into Teferi, into Gust, into Shark Typhoon Dispute. Pretty good. Might be getting the old 104.3A, yeah? 2-0. 2-0. I was talking to Pyganti recently, and he was telling me that he was playing Elves. We talked a little bit about the Black-Green Elves deck. But I also saw that he posted that he wanted to try out a lot of new things. So, yeah, we'll see what's going on over there. Could just be Heliod. Or, like, wanted to try out, like, a lot of decks and just grind and see what was good. Yeah, GG's. Was that you last round? Oh, it was, yeah. Sorry, I had to double check. Well, Lightning Bolt stops combos here. We do beat Infinite Life pretty easily, so if they play a Spike Feeder, I'm just bolting it and letting them gain Infinite Life. Alright, well, I mean, Conclave Mentor is a terrible card, but I think we bolt Elf anyways. They play Blood Sun, and so they if they have untapped land plus Ballista, we lose, but it's also like harder for them to have untapped land because we're playing Blood Sun. They didn't have the untapped land this turn. And then, oh no, Spike Feeder just kills us. Yeah, Spike Feeder just killed us here. Yeah, this was wrong to play because I forgot the Conclave Mentor doubles up, of course. So maybe I'll just go like main phase bounce Forest, draw a card. My opponent tutored up Arbor Elf. How good is it to just bounce this Forest? Seems maybe a little too slow when we're getting beat down. Yeah, we win with a Teferi ultimate and then minusing Teferi on itself, or casting Nexus of Fate and not decking. And Nexus of Fate with a Shark is also infinite damage that beats Infinite Life. I think I'm letting this just resolve. Does Spike Feeder work for DoorDash? I guess I don't get the question. I guess I want to bounce the basic forest. I think it's better to bounce this than a Heliod, but I'm not 100% sure. That's an interesting draw. So we can go to Teferi, Master of Time plus Bolt this turn. It's very kind of unclunks our hand too, which is nice. Gets rid of these Blood Suns. I've liked Teferi, Master of Time a lot in this deck. It feels like a little unintuitive, but I think it's good. I think I'm just gonna bolt the Ranger Captain now, so that way my opponent can't stop me from like forcing a Coco. And then if we can Teferi minus to stop Spike Feeder from killing us. I guess they would just kill us. I mean, best case scenario, this is just Coco. They're floating 2 mana here, so we can either minus on Conclave Mentor, or we can minus. I think we minus on the Mentor. Just like having it not actually come in with 2 counters is such a big deal here. And this also means that our Teferi lives, unless they want to kill it with Ballista. So now we're dead. Well, this is infinite life. I'll treat it as my opponent has infinite life. But we can Tails End the activation here, or maybe draw a removal spell. As soon as phase out ends, we lose. Well, that's not 100% true. We get to untap and draw, right? And so they have infinite life right now. Ballista has killed Teferi. We didn't really draw a super relevant spell, I guess. Alright, I'm gonna concede. I phased out their Mentor with Teferi, Master of Time. Alright, tough game, tough game. I want the Abrade. Don't want the Platinum package. I do like Wildfire. Want to go down on Force. Do I want Settle the Wreckage? Settle's probably okay. Play Settle over Master of Time, maybe? We'll keep him in Master of Time. Nexus is good against Infinite Life. Trim a Tails in for a Settle. Consideration about new meta of next week. So we're trying to figure it out. Everything is in flux. Like Prowess is probably going to be very good. There are going to be some good blue control variants. Tribal decks, I think, are going to be prominent. Oops All Spells is going to be, I think, one of the best kind of glass cannon combo deck. Dredge is going to be better. Eldrazi Tron is back. I feel like there's one more deck I'm kind of missing. Like, there's probably going to be some Titan decks, but not as many immediately. Because figuring out the best build without Field of the Dead is going to be a little tricky, potentially. Why? We're playing this Teferi, Master of Time, over Jace because this deck doesn't play fetch lands. And I think that if you're not playing fetch lands, Teferi, Master of Time is better than Jace the Mind Sculptor. What about blue-white? I think that Jeskai Wildfire, not this version, but the Jeskai Wildfire deck or the Bant Ephemerate deck will be better than traditional blue-white control. But traditional blue-white control will probably be playable at some point. Yeah, I might try the In Search of Greatness deck again. I really liked that deck. It was fun. Well, sure freaking wish that these Path to Exiles were Lightning Bolts. Thoughts on Colonnade? I believe that Castle Ardenvale and Castle Vantress are both better than Celestial Colonnade in your blue-white decks. The drums really, they go with my statements really well. Make them seem very official and final. Would I rather play Bant Ephemerate over Bant Squirrel Blade? I don't know. I'm probably going to try Bant Ephemerate tomorrow. I might put Soul Herder in my deck. I'm not sure yet. That's kind of like the big question, to Soul Herder or not to Soul Herder, right? I would love to draw a Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. But we have Path, Snap Path up. Which is not too bad here. Squirrel Tribal. Not Squirrel Tribal, it's just a Bant Stoneforge Mystic deck that's playing Toski. Which is I've been liking it. I've been playing some of it. I just take 6. 19 months, Matthew. Thank you for that. Yeah, it has been a great stream today. Thank you for being here. Hope that you and Hannah are doing well. Doing well and doing swell. I'd really like to hit a Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. I think I'm gonna Awakening, put back Force of Negation, Steam Vents. My opponent clearly doesn't have Coco right now. And then path the Ranger Captain. Man, Awakening is so good in this deck. 4 fresh ones. There's the Teferi, Hero of Dominaria that I always wanted. It's a little late. Pendlehaven plus Ariok Champion is also a bit of a thorn in my side at the moment. Because I can't trade Snapcaster for a champion. Although if we path one and they exalted the other, they'd have to Pendlehaven first. I mean, they probably still do, right? It'll be okay. I'm just gonna path now. Keep the life total high-ish. I think we're gonna path this guy regardless. I'm gonna hold the bolt for now. Bloodsun's a really interesting draw. We could play Bloodsun and then Snapcaster gets to trade for the champion. I think it's better. It's gonna be better to Teferi though. Teferi just isn't dying. We have Bolt and Snapcaster up for interaction. I guess they could have Coco here. It did feel like they didn't have Coco earlier though. They do have it now. Maybe it'll be bad. At the very least, it doesn't seem like they have obvious decisions, but they've got some good choices here. All right, I guess we're just gonna draw my card before I do anything. Bolt the Spike Feeder, or bolt the Conclave Mentor. We bolt the Feeder. Before they can untap and move the counters around, of course. What's the biggest change from losing Sanctuary? I never played Sanctuary in this deck. I played Sanctuary in the Wildfire deck. But not this version. So really not too much change, although you probably want to change some different cards in the main deck. Of course. 4 cards in hand. You mean to Modern? Yeah. Hard to tell. Hard to tell. This is, where I've been playing the new Modern for about 5 hours, and I just don't have a good grip of exactly what the metagame looks like. I'm going to let Teferi take 3. How did Blue-White Sharkblade go? Went 3-2. Went 3-2 with Grixis as well. We're currently 2-0 down a game with Lotus Field. They do have Ballista. So if I had pathed Arbor Elf, we could have kept Teferi alive. Am I pathing this Ballista or am I pathing Ariak Champion? I think I'm just going to path Ballista. What do you think about Arcanist without Sanctuary? Worse for sure. Deck is definitely worse, but not necessarily dead. I'll be trying it out at some point. I also want to go back to like the red-black sacrifice deck too that I was playing a bit of before Kaldheim came out. Although this matchup is always tough. I got some good draws from here. Let's see what we find. Yeah, that's definitely in the good draw territory. I'll play out my land so I can make a 3/3 Shark. Holding the land for another copy of Valakut Awakening is definitely worth considering, though. Remember, our opponent's Pendlehaven is turned off at the moment. If they do have a way to combo in their 3 cards, then I mean we can beat Infinite Life. Infinite Damage here is something we're gonna have a harder time with. Yeah, Heliod is definitely it seems like a very good deck at the moment, but is also certainly a very beatable deck. How do you beat Infinite Life? We have a Nexus of Fate in our deck. We also have Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, so we can take infinite turns with Nexus and deal infinite damage with a Shark, which beats Infinite Life. Or you can mill out your opponent, because we never mill out because we both have Nexus and Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. So, you know, a bit of a pain, but beatable. All right, big top deck. Land. I'm going to hold these for another copy of Valakut Awakening. I'm going to leave the Shark back to block. Land off the top. And Ariak Champion, now very, very scary. The second copy. I don't think I'm chumping here. It's going to take 6. We're so dead. We've got outs. This deck can definitely like pull out of, you know, win out of nowhere. I've won from crazier positions. Yeah, Heliod and Prowess both seem like good decks at the top. Dredge is like maybe a good choice. There's probably going to be a 1 or 2 good blue decks. You know, Human seems like a safe choice, but maybe not a great one. Tap draw, baby. Tails in. I guess my opponent loses. I'll keep the. I think I'll tails in this just to keep my Blood Sun around. We have black red. Yeah, black red's good. Like when I say prowess, I mean black red and blue red and like mono red Obosh seem to be like the main 3 choices for a prowess variant. And so and there's also burn is also viable, I think. And so if you are a red mage, I think that it would be really good to learn and master all 4 of those decks and try to figure out which one of those is best on any given weekend. I think I'm wildfiring my Flagstones because I'd like to thin my deck if I can, and another copy of Flagstones is a bad draw, but you don't get the extra land if you have Blood Sun in play. Speaking of Blood Sun, so we've got a few more outs, so it has to be Cryptic Command or Settle the Wreckage at this point, off the top. Force of Negation does not do it. We fall to 2-1 with Lotus Field. So it's been kind of a weird matchup. What about Rakdos midrange? I mean, so like Rakdos midrange with main deck Blood Moons, Jund both seem to be viable decks again, with reasonable matchups against Heliod, maybe a reasonable matchup against Prowess. This deck can like be the nuts if we draw a Blood Sun, where we go turn 2 Wildfire our Flagstones, and then play Blood Sun, then play Lotus Field untapped, and just go off. Temple Garden tapped. I'm probably not ever going to path on turn 1 here. Colonnade and Jeskai. In my opinion, the castles are better than Celestial Colonnade. And I will let you know if I change my mind. But I think that if you want to play a utility land or two in your blue control decks, which you probably do want to, look to the castles. Do not look to Mystic Sanctuary. Opponent's playing a Bant deck. They remand my Cleansing Wildfire. Make Siege Rhino playable again. I'll do my best. But I don't think my best is going to be enough. I kind of just want to play Lotus Field and sack my Flagstones and Wildfire their breeding pool. Maybe we're playing against Squirrel Blade. That'd be so cool. I might play some Spell Quellers in Squirrel Blade over like some Borrowers. We'll see. I'm not super high on either card. Do you like the blue or white castle more? Different decks are going to want different ones. I like the white castle is more powerful, but tapping for blue. It's Bant Ephemerate! Hell yeah! And they get back Force, so if I play Teferi, they get to Force. And then they main phase Ephemerate. Oh, such tight plays too. Very cool. Loving it. So if we main phase Path, they can Force. So I think we're supposed to Path on their turn. Which is the best Kazuma deck now? It is not clear to me that there are any good Kazuma decks. I'm not sure that Kazuma is good. Maybe it is. But I've yet to be impressed by Kazuma. I want to like Kazuma. I do not currently like Kazuma. Yeah, I think that the white castle is more powerful than the blue castle, but some decks like really would prefer to have a land that taps for blue than the white one, and some decks, some decks obviously don't play white, but will still like want to play a Castle Vantress, like Grixis or blue black. Maybe I'm supposed to Typhoon here instead of Valakut looking for Force. I think I'm supposed to, Typhoon. Because then we could find a Bolt and maybe just kill their Teferi. Maybe find a Bolt. Accomplished. Bit worried about Ice Fang, I suppose. Think I'm just attacking first. So they probably forced this. Kind of stinks they didn't draw an untapped land. They forced pitching the remand we knew about. So let me go Awakening, putting back every non-Teferi card. You could maybe keep the other Awakening, but I'd really like to find a Bolt. Like right now. We did not. So we can maybe run out a Bear Snapcaster end of turn to threaten Teferi, but that might not be an option if they have more gas. I think we need to play Blood Sun here and not feel great about it as we cast it. Yeah, Bant Ephemerate is such a good deck. One of my proudest creations. I'll probably be playing it tomorrow. Alright. Let's go to game 2. Narset is very good against our opponent's deck. I'm glad that we have a couple copies of that. Mystical Dispute is good as well. Path to Exile is terrible. Lightning Bolt is okay. Can bring in Aether Gust for Ura. I think I'll sideboard like this. Can maybe play one path over the second Wildfire. Just break up Eternal Witness loops. Doesn't feel great. Or maybe Abrade is better. Just giving them the lands is so bad. Looks like I'm a little late. We can keep this. How's this deck's matchup against Heliod? I honestly don't know. I've always like really gone back and forth on whether or not I think it is a good matchup. I like seeing this. This is definitely a land I would play in Bant Ephemerate. I always go back and forth on if I think it has a good matchup or not. It's a weird one. It's about all I know. The Jam the Blood Sun. Is Lotus Field still good? I don't know. Maybe. I hope so. We're kind of testing it out. Like, one thing about the Lotus Field deck is that the Uro piles are one of the deck's best matchups. And so the fact that we no longer have those decks to kind of prey on is probably means that the Jeskai deck is not currently the best control deck to play. In fact, I would probably, if you want to play Jeskai, play something more similar to the Jeskai Wildfire control decks that actually play 2-mana counter spells that aren't Tails End, and they play a more traditional controlling game plan. But maybe this deck is great, and I certainly hope that that's the case, because I love this deck. So Typhoon does block Ice Fang here, because they cannot get a snow land off of Misty Rainforest. We have, Force up for anything. Love to draw a Lotus Field. Is Jeskai Giants good enough to compete? It is not clear to me. I think I don't mind forcing this. It's like, oh, well, maybe I should have minded. Although if we can get Narset down, Narset's going to be very good here. Just 1 mana is so brutal. Guess we need to just cycle another Blood Sun. And it is nice to get second Blood Sun down before they can Skyclave. But I was really, of course, hoping to get down Narset and stop their Ephemerate from drawing them a card. Probably just 3-2 with every single deck today. For Jeskai Wildfire, what piece of graveyard hate would I suggest? I really like playing the Madcap Experiment package, which isn't, traditional graveyard hate, but it ends up being good against most of the decks that you want graveyard hate against. So that's probably what I would recommend. Is if they have another Ice Fang, I think I'm okay taking the trade. They do have another Ice Fang. I should probably just cycle Typhoon main phase, right? Although Tails encounters a Planeswalker. It's just so good if I find a blue land. Especially Lotus Field, of course. Seems fine to do. That's a lot of looks. That's like 5 or 6 looks at a land in a row without hitting one. Maybe more than that? I'm not sure. Yeah, I wanted to do a long stream today. Been in the zone. We went 3-2 with Grixis. Felt very Grixis-y. They returned Misty Rainforest to their hand and non-ephemerate. That must have been a misclick, right? Just must have been a misclick. Bloodsun is definitely holding the team down here. Right, Lotus Field. Yes! All of a sudden, 1 to 5 castable spells. I think we're going to play Narset and Teferi. I think I want to bait with Teferi. Made a Force of Negation, yeah. I mean, they might have another one. They've pitched Hero of Dominaria. Getting 2/2 for once is not so bad here if they have 2 forces. Yeah, Clothis seems like a good card, I agree. I'll take Force of Negation over any card here. Interesting. So do they not have another blue card in their hand? Because they could have forced this if they did. They're getting back Force now? You probably just don't have another blue card. Take a Shark. Another Lotus Field off the top would be so sick. So imagine they get back Ephemerate, right? Because that's what this deck does. The Narset in play does shut off a lot of their cards. Skyclave Apparition kills Narset, I suppose. But they don't have another white source up for Ephemerate. They do have a Force of Negation in their hand, but we can go... Oh, we can't Cryptic Command their Force of Negation. We're 1 mana short. Damn it. I guess we just hold up double Cryptic / Typhoon. Probably attack as well. They're going to take the trade of Shark for Shark. Or Shark for Snake. Oh, sorry, we don't have double Cryptic. We only have 1 Cryptic up because we only have 5 blue. Knight of Autumn. I think we're going to Tails in that trigger. We know they have Ephemerate to flicker this. I don't feel like they're going to necessarily Ephemerate on their turn, although they might. Yeah, so now we can just make them cast the Ephemerate on their Eternal Witness right now. Oh, nope. Turn off auto yields. Yeah, I'll force their Ephemerate. Pitching Cryptic. So now if we draw any land, because all lands enter untapped, we can Cryptic Command their Force of Negation. That is a land. Don't even have to pay life. Alright, let me not tap like a doofus, though. We do have a command for my thoughts on the bans. Check out my detailed statement there. So if they do have another Force of Negation, they go down to 1 card, we go down to no cards. They do not have another Force. Dude, we won! Yes! Ah! Hell yeah, what a game. This deck is always so swingy. It's awesome. Such a swingy deck. Love it. Let's try this. I like that this hand can counter Teferi Time Raveler. Tilson's pretty good against them. We need an Athena Pog emote. That would be good. I'm trying to get Madison to make an emote of Esther with the crab claws. Although I haven't actually asked her yet. But I keep forgetting to. Alright, I haven't drawn a land yet. Sure would like to, though. Sure would like to. Yeah, sometimes you keep a 2-lander on the draw, and you don't hit your 3rd land. Well, maybe I should have disputed that. I'm not sure. I kind of like just tails ending the trigger. I feel like we have 2 tails and 1 dispute. Dispute's like a bit of a higher value card, I suppose. If we get to resolve Bloodsun next turn, I think we've got a chance. If we don't get to resolve Bloodsun next turn, we're probably going to hope for another 3/2. Might still just be hoping. Alright, I will concede if I don't draw a land. We'll take it. It's actually pretty good if this Tails End doesn't get forced, right? The Ephemerate maybe looking for force. Alright. Could be in business. I think I'm not forcing Ephemerates. I think it would be reasonable to... We can go Cryptic with Force and Dispute up on the Ephemerate on the way down. It's probably going to be the line. Play this tapped probably. If they have Veil of Bummer, probably can never win, right? Feels like there's a lot of cards here that if they have, we can probably never win. Just like a second Ephemerate too. They didn't even cast the first Ephemerate. Jeez. What a big brain play. Or maybe they just tapped weird because the Mystic Gate is always so weird in that deck. Please cast something into Cryptic, yeah. Of course they would never. So maybe I was supposed to play Blood Sun last turn. I'm not sure. Blood Sun seems like it loses a lot of meta. Yeah. Blood Sun, like, this deck was very good against the Uro piles. And so even though no card of this deck got banned, in some ways this deck did get worse, yes. But we're just having a good time playing our favorite decks today. And I hope you can forgive me for that. Alright, well. Blood Sun resolving is usually good. Opponent's not doing very much with their mana. They're just not casting the Ephemerates. Alright, here we make a stand. Counter target spell. And draw a card. Well, you know, one of their cards is Ephemerate, which does not currently win this fight, but a land does because they could just get back the Witness. So, or the Knight of Autumn. I don't think we can win if we lose this fight. Tough stuff. Tough stuff. Cool matchup. Excited by their take on the deck. I do think Bance Ephemerate survives an Uro ban. Uro is obviously very good in the deck. I do like their decision to main deck the Teferi Hero of Dominaria because I think without Uro, you do have a harder time actually closing games. So the main deck Teferi seems good. I don't know. I probably would just main deck one copy. Like maybe you could play like one Ewit, one Hero, and you could try out Kazuma and then cut Kazuma when you find out the card is just not very good. But we'll, I'll try to have a good list together for tomorrow, and if not, then we'll excited to try it out. Let's keep this hand. Can Tails in our Lotus Field trigger potentially. Put a mill to 6, plays a tapped Treetop Village. Damn, man, New Modern is exciting. New Modern is exciting. I think we're playing against Black-Green Rock, which is probably going to be an incredibly fun matchup. I used to play Black-Green Rock and Paper from time to time, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, man, I'm just going to Bolt Dark Confidant. Hell yeah. If we get to Lightning Bolt their turn 3 play, I think Tails in their Lotus Field, we're going to be streets ahead. Castle Lochthwain, I think, is very good in Black-Green, and in fact is, I think, one of the best reasons to be Black-Green instead of Jund is Castle Lochthwain is much easier on your mana base. They might take Tails End. They might take Typhoon. They might take honestly any card in my hand. It depends on, like, do they have a creature that dies to Bolt? Do they know about the Tails End Lotus Field interaction? Are they scared about a long grindy game with a Typhoon or a Cryptic? They take the Tails End. Well, thank you, Vampiric Tutor. Thank you, Vampiric Tutor. Is this the best BNR of all time? My favorite BNR is probably Stoneforge Unbanned. Gross. Yeah, that's nasty. Stoneforge Unbanned. Faithless Looting Band. We can theoretically beat this, but it will not be easy. Does the snakes take over the game? Maybe. I mean, we have 2 sharks to race with. We have Cryptic Command to tap it down. We can take infinite turns with Nexus of Fate, but I don't have sweepers in my main deck. And maybe I should. Supreme Verdict's looking pretty good in the new Modern. Opponent didn't do anything. Kind of interesting. If we shock, it doesn't necessarily take a turn off the clock. We could make a bigger shark. We could go Cryptic plus 1/1 shark. It's kind of awkward with that treetop. I think I'm gonna shock. This lets me make a 4/4 shark to either block the Hex Drinker, although they might have some removal. They do have some removal. I think I just let Assassin's Trophy resolve because now I have 2 Cryptic Commands up. And I can also make now a 5/5 shark to try to block Hex Drinker if they don't level it up. Which probably is correct. Yeah, I could maybe have hard cast. Oh, I could already have made a 5/5. Well, let's make a 6/6. They're drawing a card for Castle Locthwain in a desperate move to find Fatal Push, and their gambit does not pay off. Why would you play snakes when you can play sharks? Alright, let's cut the Force of Negations. Bring in Settle the Wreckage and like 2 Aether Gusts probably. Don't think I want the Platinum package, which I didn't bring in all league. I mean, we're not great against Assassin's Trophy, cycling, or hardcasting there. I've answered this a lot, but how much do you think Sanctuary Ban hurts this deck? In the Lotus Field version, I never played Mystic Sanctuary. In the Flagstones version, the ban hurts the deck a little bit, but compared to decks like Sultai Control, 4-color Control, I really feel like Mystic Sanctuary was less a part of the Jeskai deck than a lot of other control decks. I don't know. I think it'll be fine without it. You know, like you're playing Flagstone, so you were less in on all the islands, and then you get to play other utility lands now. You probably get to play like 1 Shatterskull Smashing and 1 Castle Vantress, and I think you play Vantress over Ardenvale in the traditional Jeskai, since even though Ardenvale is more powerful, Vantress taps for blue, which is better in a deck with 4 Flagstones. How excited am I to never get boiled again? Very excited. You know, that was one thing about Mystic Sanctuary, is that if you wanted to beat it, you could just play a lot of boils, and it was like not that difficult to beat up on the Sanctuary decks. But I think that this is a good clean start for Modern. I think this is going to be a good era for my favorite format. I am shocked that your blue-white deck has nothing for burn. Talking about the Stoneforge Mystic deck, because I've got Batter Skulls. I've got Aether Gusts. Aether Gust is very good against burn. But maybe it's correct to play some cards for the matchup. It's still a new format. But Aether Gust is great against burn. Brutality. How sad is Fran about the field dead? I think Fran is a fan of the bans, but I don't know. Today's kind of a blur. I've been live for a long time and don't remember exactly what everybody said. And I also agreed to record the Dive Down podcast tonight, which I'm excited to do, but it's going to be a very exhausting day. I probably will not do a very long stream tomorrow. Guess we're discarding Nexus. Can I tell you a little about the Jeskai Giants deck? I mean, what do you want to hear? I don't think the deck is great. I think it's a lot of fun, though. I don't know what you want me to say beyond that. Yeah, people keep talking about blue-white with Kazuma, but Kazuma seems so much worse as a card advantage engine than Jace or Teferi Hero of Dominaria, or even Shark Typhoon. I'm just not very high on it. I would love to be wrong, though. The card is certainly very cool. This card, Hissing Quagmire. They do know about my Snapcaster. They know my whole hand. And now that I have 2 instants in the graveyard, if they play Tarmogoyf, their Tarmogoyf survives a Lightning Bolt. Tireless Tracker does not survive a Lightning Bolt. Maybe Kazuma and Sharkblade might be good since the vehicle part is playable with more creatures. Maybe. I think Kazuma is like maybe at its best in Bant. Since Bant tends to just draw more raw cards with cards like Ice Fang, and then can theoretically play like Growth Spiral or Noble Hierarch to get Kazuma going sooner. Ice Fang Cruise the Omen Keel. And like just drawing more raw cards is very relevant, of course, too. But then like in Bant Stoneblade, it has to compete with Toski, and I think Toski is phenomenal in a Bant Stoneblade deck. So maybe in like a Bant Ephemerate deck, it could shine. But even then, the card just competes with so much, and it just does not really seem to me like the card is the card advantage engine of choice for any blue-white deck. Yes, bans are in fact in effect, Barb. Path to Exile.
I'm halfway done.
Nice.
Yay.
Is that what you've been doing?
Yes. I've only done one hand and it's not fully done. But I've done a lot better than I thought I was going to do. At least when I first started, I was like, oh shit, this is kind of hard. And then I watched a video and I was like, oh, okay, I got it. Plus my brush isn't great.
I agreed to do the Dive Down podcast tonight, so...
Tonight?
Yeah.
Well... Okay, well, I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, we hung out all weekend.
What?
Or yesterday, at least.
What time will be the podcast?
8 p.m., so I'll have time to hang out and eat for a bit and unwind and crash and get up and start playing more Magic. It's gonna be awesome.
This is the last league?
Hopefully. Who knows?
Who knows?
I may get a third wind.
What?
I kind of want to use Settle the Wreckage on this Tarmogoyf just because it's such an unwieldy card in this spot. Let me see what I draw. Alright, I'll path. The two damage from the Snapcaster might be relevant. And can I give you an analysis of Tireless Tracker and Jund? If you put Tireless Tracker in your Jund deck, you're very smart and you're probably incredibly good at Magic. And I imagine that you're incredibly handsome and just a genius for playing Tireless Tracker.
A genius.
And you don't need me to tell you that. And you don't need me to tell you that. You already know. So I'm going to pulse as my Snapcasters. I'll bolt the Snapcaster to keep the other one alive, which is, I think the 2/1 is better than the 3 damage right now. I'll play Flagstones to play around Liliana Blessing. Attack. We're definitely ahead here. Their Castle Locked is not as good when it's dealing them damage. They have discard spells to top deck. But they are the ones with the card advantage engine. We're the one with creatures in play. If they draw, like a Tarmogoyf here to check the Snapcaster, or Liliana the Last Hope would be just a nuts draw if that's in their deck somehow. But if we get to hit them for 4, they're just dead to a Lightning Bolt whenever we draw it. Well, we went 3-2 with Sharkblade, Grixis, and Lotus Field, so no crazy results.
5 already?
Yeah, no crazy results, but a good reasonable showing from all the decks, and I'm very excited to try out new things. I'll be playing Bant Ephemerate tomorrow, probably a couple of Pyre of Heroes decks, and then maybe some Red-Black Sacrifice too. Is kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe I'll try something else. Everything is so open. I'm so excited. I just can't believe it. This is going to be a great couple of weeks. But it's also possible the power goes out in the middle of the sentence and I'm done for the rest of the week. So we'll see. But before I go, I want to thank our sponsor, Encounter Party. Encounter Party is a D&D 5e podcast with professional voice actors that takes place on the plane of Ravnica right after the events of Dragon's Maze. There's lots of fun characters from MTG and little tidbits and Easter eggs for you guys to find. So if you like D&D, if you like the idea of a D&D podcast that takes place on Ravnica, you can check out our sponsor at encounterparty.com or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. They're everywhere. Dude, Harry's streaming. Awesome.
Thank you.